Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello, and welcome to our session, the EdCollab Gatherings Fall 2025 session of Book Buzz with the book ambassadors. We have Joellen McCarthy here and myself, Jessica Walsh.
Welcome, Jessica. So those of you who know Julia, I love Julia, and Julia has moved on to different things, but I'm super excited to say that we have Jessica taking her place. And in a little bit, I'll tell you some other fun things that Julia and I were working on this year. So welcome, everyone. We're so happy to be learning with you. All right, let's get started. So one of the things that we decided, Jessica and I, is that we really want to extend the conversation. We're already having panic attacks about the limited amount of time that we have to do this book buzz. And if you started with the keynote and you listened to anything that Katie or Stella said, one of the things that they reiterated again and again is the power of read alouds. So we're super excited to be here to support that message. We live and breathe that in the work that we do, and we hope that you'll join us and continue the conversation outside of today through the Educator Collaborative. You can ask a book ambassador. You'll see some book buzz things that we'll be posting, and we're excited to learn together all year long.
At the end of our session, we'll talk more about how you can connect with us and follow as we share more book buzz beyond today.
Yay!
So just a little bit of background, like Joellen said, I'm new to the book ambassador position, and I'm super grateful for her guidance in this new role. Books have been a huge part of my life since I was a child. My room has always kind of looked like my background here, piles of books everywhere in front and around me. I am a classroom teacher. I teach in the suburbs of Chicago. I've been doing middle school ELA and social studies for 20 years. And this morning's keynote opening spoke to my teacher heart in so many different ways and reminded me of the ways that Wondrous Words inspired me as an early career teacher. And I need to get back to some of those things that get lost when we lose time in the classroom, when we have all these mandates. So hopefully it recentered you. I know it recentered me. So that's a little bit about me.
Thanks, Jessica. We're so excited that you're here. So one of the things that I was saying, and I was kind of sharing a little bit on social about how Katie Wood-Ray has really been a huge mentor in my life. And there's so many people that we stand on the shoulders of in this work. So if you know me and you know my goal is to always use books as co-teachers. And so having the opportunity to focus on that with Jessica to continue to do that work, we're excited to share also that Julia and I collaborated on an interactive planner for teachers, kind of like buzzing about books is what led this to come to be. And it's basically an interactive calendar where teachers can be thinking about important dates in the year. They can have an opportunity to reflect some of the books that we have found to be mentor texts, and then invite teachers to use this or as a guide to kind of think together with us through what makes most sense in trying to have culturally affirming classroom experiences, engaging kids with books all year long, celebrating literacy all year long. And that's what book buzzes do, right? We want teachers to make the days count and not count the days. So today is one of those days that I hope really will count for you as we try to book buzz as many as we can, and also talk a little bit about our process in choosing and selecting texts, because it's not about the books, it's about the conversations we're having around the books.
And Joellen, I have to say, Layers of Learning was instrumental in me for pulling out some of those details in picture books and other texts. And then as soon as Seasons of Literacy came out, I couldn't wait to get my hands on it and use it in other ways to help plan for my year. So thank you and Julia for that.
That's so sweet. Thank you. So it is Hispanic Heritage Month, but it's also really important to always be centering inclusive classrooms and not just be thinking about holidays and heroes, and that does a disservice to kids. And so if we can be intentional in our planning and we celebrate and value representation all year long, that's really essential. So I love this image because it also supports the idea of going outside of books and thinking about contributions of a variety of cultures and individuals who have influenced our world. So looking at books throughout the year that celebrate and honor a variety of cultures, not just focusing on Hispanic heritage creators during Hispanic Heritage Month. So
And so, speaking of that, and speaking of highlighting the backgrounds of our students in our classroom and in the world, one thing too that stuck out to me about Seasons of Literacy, just to go back to that, was the focus of the first month was perfect, Joellen, because I have to be honest, we in my district have a theme every year to kick the year off, and this year's theme was belonging. And so I'm reading Seasons of Literacy. Our superintendent's talking about the theme of belonging, and I wanted to share too that this is something that goes beyond just in the classroom. So the photo you're seeing here is some of the work that is foundational to my role too. I support early career teachers in our district, and so at the end of the first month for August in Seasons of Literacy, there was a series of questions about belonging, and it was perfect to get some of our early career teachers just thinking about how are they going to set up their classroom at the beginning of the year to promote that idea of belonging, to make every student that walks through their door feel like they belong. So the picture you're seeing here on the left are some early career teachers to our district brainstorming ideas for how they can highlight the identities of their students and really authentically create that sense of belonging. So I know we don't have a lot of time. I just want to share a couple of comments that they made on these charts. So some of them say they create space for students to share about their culture, language, and traditions. So they feel proud of who they are, bringing in examples, books, and stories that actually reflect the students in my classroom, talking to students about their home language and bringing that in, demonstrating to students how they can share different perspectives and learn from each other's backgrounds. Because my district, we have students from all over the world in our classrooms, and so I felt that all tied in so perfectly. It was like serendipitous. I don't know. So I wanted to share that. Thank you.
that's so kind of you to say thank you. So we also want to be mindful of, again, those people who stand before us and alongside us, and the researchers in this field. And so I wanted to mention the importance is as you're curating and collecting your text, thinking about belonging as the bridge to deep learning. A wonderful quote by Dr. Soretta Hammond. And using texts like culture responsive teaching in the brain. And there's so many wonderful resources that we'll talk a little bit more about at a follow-up. But right now we're going to get to it. We're going to get to some of the books. So as we're curating, collecting text, reading and writing with purpose, one of the books that I wanted to share is a new text about names. We know how important it is to talk about names and identity. And this is a text that was written with a joyful lens by Maria Whitecock and illustrated by Yu-Ting Chang. And it's about a young girl who comes to school and says, "My name is Aylin." And right away from the very beginning, students are asking her, "Wait, how do you pronounce it?" And she's completely excited to teach kids how to say her name. And there's absolutely all joy. It's not, "Oh, I don't like my name." Some texts have that in the approach. And so this is really joyful from the beginning. It also gets kids to be thinking about affirming who they are, the stories of their names. And there's a beautiful author's note in the back about the culture, the Chinese culture, and the importance of having positive symbolic meaning in names. So if you have been using names books as you're getting to know your students, I would definitely suggest adding this as a book that will help you do that work.
And I wanted to pair that with Bright Before Us Like a Flame, which is a YA, and middle grade. It spans across different levels, but it's an anthology that includes poetry, stories, even comics, and it's written by young people. And so it's really unique. I haven't really seen anything like this recently. And so I was really excited. Also, the forward here is by the amazing Elizabeth Acevedo. But it's the themes of the stories and the text are themes of like belonging and family, and just igniting like your passion for words, which I thought tied back to our opening keynote, Wondrous Words. It was just like, I needed this book. I needed that keynote to remind me of like how we can ignite that flame for young people. It even includes some of the prompts that the young people, the authors of this book, use to inspire their writing. So it's beautiful for writing workshop and for being that mentor text for writers of all ages.
Yeah, they had so many powerful quotes that I
Mhm.
was taking notes and sharing about today, and thinking about how you write from where you read. Like you have
Yes.
an expression and voice and sound. Obviously, I'm from New York, so you can hear that. But you write from where you read. It's just
Yeah,
a beautiful reason to use mentor text for kids of all ages. And so another
absolutely.
book that helps encourage self-expression, and I know many of the schools that I collaborate with and work with and serve celebrated Dot Day last week. And,
Mhm.
it's a Dot Day ish by Peter Reynolds and helping kids to make their mark. And so I love the book I Am More Than by LeBron James. And it is illustrated, excuse me, by Nina Mata. And it absolutely celebrates self portrait and helps kids to think about all the things we do with kids early on in the school year. So if you haven't done self portraits with your kids and you
Mm.
want to think about adding ways to get them to express themselves with words or meanings of words, I forgot Five Words That Are Mine. I love that book as well by Melissa Cerrone Richardson, which also deals with translanguaging and using books from multiple languages and asking kids to bring in their background, their culture, and the language and words that are important to them. So as you're getting to know your kids, you're getting to know culture. And I had to add this for making your mark because I have an art teacher that I work with, and this was something that was really interesting. That for Dot Day, I was introduced to this book, nonfiction informational text about cultured donuts, where every donut represents a different artistic example. And there's letters from the artists and ideas, excuse me, about the art and the artwork and how it can inspire kids. And this was just a really unique, interesting way to add to the conversation of thinking beyond the books.
I have to get that book. It looks so cool. I love all the different like styles. I thought that would like tie really well into writing workshop. So speaking of making their mark, and we did have our Dot Day posters up in our classroom or in our school building as well. Earlier this week, I was going to take a picture and send it to you, but it's everywhere. I wanted to highlight a few titles, young adult titles here on my screen, middle grade and young adult. The Story of My Anger is amazing. I think it just came out, let's see, September 16th. So last week just came out from Jasmine Mendez, a young adult novel in verse. But it's more than a novel in verse. It actually weaves in, there's some prose, and then there's some sections that are like a script. So like, because it's all about theater and it's about being on stage. And the main character, Julieta, has been bypassed for the lead role in the school play because of racist figures who can make those decisions. And so she's done being passed over for roles, and so she's grabbing the mic and she's grabbing her pen and she's using her voice, and her friends actually create like a guerrilla theater and perform at open mics and fight back against the book censorships that are happening in her school. And so get your hands on this book if you haven't seen it yet. Order it. It's going to be really powerful. The author says at the end that was the book she needed when she was a teenager. And I just love that because I think that we need more books like this. And so a good text to pair with that would be Truth Is. Truth is young adult book. It comes out this upcoming Tuesday. This is another YA novel in verse, but it again, like Story of My Anger, it's actually multi-genre. It has journal entries in there, text messages. There's actually fill in the blank poetry prompts in there. So it's like really interactive with the reader, which I love too. But the story is just about a girl who people want her to make decisions about her body that she's not comfortable with. And so it's her fight and push back. She uses spoken word to share, why she's making the decisions she's making. And it's just really a story about like claiming your own voice when life doesn't go according to plan, which when does it ever? So I thought that was perfect coming out next week. I talked about Bright Before Us Like a Flame, have to put it up there again. It's just a really special book. There's not many like it. So, and then last one, Tear This Down, came out earlier this year. Barbara D, who's amazing. This is a middle grade book, just about a girl whose hometown honors and is named after a historical figure that through a history research project, she learns held views that were against women voting rights. And so she's like, maybe we need to reconsider who we're highlighting. And so her and her friends create a campaign to build a statue of a suffragette from town, an unknown suffragette. So just all about grabbing that mic and taking the stage.
I love that we're doing this, but we should have probably renamed it Speed Dating with Books because it is
I
going
know,
so quickly.
talking like the motor machine guy.
Exactly. So we also want to leave you with some moves and some of the
Mhm.
decisions that we make as we are selecting these texts. And so I want to refer back to I Am More Than because Nina Mata is the illustrator. She did debut illustrations for the Thai Travels books for Kelly Starling Lyons. She did the cover of the original Ways to Make Sunshine or the Ryan Hart series for Renee Watson. And now she has books of her own. This is her debut picture book and it's called New, and it's about a young child's experience in school. And again, thinking about, how we can bring new beginnings, have conversations around new beginnings and get kids to know new authors. This is something that I often like to share with teachers, how I chose the books, what led me there. And so researching kids first, researching books, the authors, the illustrators, the creators will often lead us from the now to the next book. And the other book that she just wrote is this book, Girls to the Front, which is a collection of informational texts about Asian American women who changed the world. And I just think it's important that as we are collecting our texts, we're thinking about those creators and helping us to continue to grow our ideas around collecting books. And that reminds me, inspiring with mentor authors. So if you know, and I'm sure people know Derek Barnes' works with The King of Kindergarten, I Am Every Good Thing, Like Lava in My Veins. He has a new picture book that is so beautiful that celebrates brothers and brotherhood. And I just love it because I think the importance in there is that it's a beautiful book that uplifts and centers Black joy, brothers, and it is told in a unique way. And I don't know why I can't find it right now because I love the lead so much. It starts off true story, and it's from the view of the young baby brother saying, "This is the first person that came into my life," and it really inspires kids to think about ways that we can write like the authors. And so I was looking for a quote where I said it wrong before, but Katie said, "A writing voice is crafted by where you live your reading life, and the writing voice is shaped by what you read." So Derek Barnes is an amazing author, and he has a new middle grade that is just out, The Incredibly Human Henson Blaze. That's a powerful, powerful text. So I know we're in the interest of time. I'm going to stop.
I know we could talk all day. How dare they only give us 20 minutes, Joel? And it's not going to happen. All right. I'm in control here, so we're going to keep going. We're going to go all the way if we have to. All right. So informational text, we really wanted to highlight. There's so many great ones coming out just this year. And I tell my students, this is how I know a little bit about a lot of things. I also teach social studies, which I love teaching both of those because they go hand in hand so well. And I love weaving in the history with the text. So these are totally my jam. I can't book talk everyone, but of course we know How the Word is Passed by Clint Smith has been adapted for young readers by the amazing Dr. Sonia Cherry Paul, just highlighting different locations around the United States. And highlighting enslaved people's stories and flipping the script on what we've been told before about those locations. How to Say Goodbye in Cuban is a graphic novel from Daniel Miyares, which we know he's an amazing illustrator of picture books. This is his family's story. This is his father's story he wrote. This one comes out September 30th, so at the end of the month. He got a phone call from his dad in the middle of the night asking how his move to a new town was, and he learned something about his father he had never known, that his father was a refugee from Cuba. He never knew this story until 20 years ago. So this story is 20 years in the making, and it's his father's journey from weekly phone calls he had with his dad for the past 20 years to build this story with a little bit of research too. It's so beautiful. Same thing, A Sea of Lemon Trees and Eureka are both about historic events in the United States. A Sea of Lemon Trees is about, the subtitle is beautiful too. It's the corrido of Roberto Alvarez, and corrido is Spanish for ballad, like a song. And so it's a novel in verse. And so it's about the true experience of the children in Lemon Grove, California, being denied access to their school. And so you see it from the child's perspective. And finally, Eureka coming out. I didn't realize this comes out so far in advance, January 2026. But it's it highlights a story of the push out of Chinese Americans from San Francisco to a town called Eureka, California, and that experience. But all beautiful books, novel and verse too, Eureka.
I want to read all the books.
I know.
We wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about nonfiction, and so I want to give a shout out to my friend Kristen Zemke, who has a wonderful new text out, Text and Tech, and not to forget the importance of using nonfiction, finding different sources of text. It's not just books. And so these are just a few of the latest and greatest informational books that I've been using. The Big Book of Verbs. Again, I'm wearing my little bracelet, A Curriculum of Children, because so many schools are emphasizing science of reading and forgetting that there are sciences of reading and there are multiple pathways to get kids to learn. And so we have to be mindful of that as we're using read alouds for explicit instruction, building vocabulary and comprehension. And the books that we use are the most powerful tools. I love what Jessica said. We can learn a little bit about a lot. And so the Atlas of Language is all about the story of languages in the world. Zoom Out is a fabulous text about looking at the natural world. Not yet out, but sure to be a fan favorite is another book from Bethany Barton, who did I'm Trying to Love Germs, I'm Trying to Love Spiders, and she has I'm Trying to Love Farts. So hello. And then I absolutely, absolutely love A Flea for Justice by the wonderful Valerie Bowling. And Valerie's book looks at the inspiration of Marion, oh my gosh, I'm just having a brain freeze. Edelman, oh my gosh, sorry. And Marion Wright Edelman, thank you. And her process in standing up for change. And what I love about this book is she references the quote about how a flea for justice is something that should keep people scratching. And one of the things, reminding us of the importance of using books. We're going to change the world by scratching, and it's one book at a time to do that work. So I thought that was important to share as well. And thank you, Valerie, for giving us a sneak peek. That just came out this week. Poetry, we have like 2 minutes. Don't forget poetry. Poetry's great. We tried to put in a collection, Mistakes That Made Us, which is new from the wonderful collaborative team of Irene Latham and Charles Waters. I love this book so much because it's mindset and it has poems that really were born based on experiences that the creators have had with mistakes. And I love that you just zoomed in, because anybody who's watching, since we're going really fast, could also kind of look at the books behind me, and then you'll get extra in the books behind Jessica, and you'll be able to get extra titles in our little speed dating.
That just gives us, we just have so many titles for our future book buzzes, Joellen, right? We're all set. And I just want to highlight this. One of my goals this year as a classroom teacher is to bring poetry back more regularly. We do a novel study of Brown Girl Dreaming, but that is not enough. And I realized when I taught it last year, they were thirsting for more. And so I was like, serving the writers in our classroom, like the keynote said this morning, I need to be bringing in these texts. And so it's my goal this year. I love the poetry Friday. Their whole collection is incredible. These are just 3 of my favorite titles. And so I'll just highlight a couple of these. Novels in verse. The Leaving Room comes out, I believe this is October. It's stunning. It's from Amber McBride, who's incredible. And this one is just really magical one. It's about a keeper who's existing in the leaving room and guiding souls to the next space. And she starts to question her role and why she's there. And it's just this incredibly magical story once you get to the end, about grief and trauma and belonging and what it means to really live fully. It's incredible. Are You Nobody Too is an homage to Emily Dickinson. So a novel in verse about a young girl or a high schooler who moves from her private school to a public school in Chinatown, and just trying to recenter her identity and who she is. But Emily Dickinson's poems are speaking to her, and Emily is speaking to her through her poetry from the past. Poetry of Car Mechanics features a young boy, Dylan, 15 years old, who's going through some grief, and his grandfather's, telling him be manly about it, be masculine, but he knows that's not what he needs to hear. And so he finds solace in nature and refuge through birds. It's really about the power of words. And then finally, Kareem Between. I love personally, it's set in Chicago. The main character's favorite team is the Chicago Bears. And so my students, when I read this aloud last year, absolutely loved it. I feel like this is one that came out last year, and I want to bring it back to the forefront because it's so well and thoughtfully done with crafting, with bringing in figurative language and elements of poetry. So as we're teaching it and they're reading Brown Girl Dreaming, I'm reading aloud Kareem Between. It was magical, that text matching. So I had to bring Kareem Between back.
Love that. So I know this was really fast. This is speed dating, but as we said in the beginning, we want to hear from you. We want to know what books you're buzzing about, new professional texts, new resources. reading advisors, where you get your information from in terms of having a community that can help you think in this space, because we are better when we share our ideas. We are better when we are together. And in this time, I want to bring us back to what Chris said in the very beginning. Dream about what you're fighting for. And I know Jessica and I are fighting for the importance of engaging kids with books, giving kids an opportunity to be lifelong readers and writers, and exposing them to have access to all of the text that's out in the world, so that they will be searching for their now and next books. Yes, and they have curriculum and they have mandated texts they may be reading. But if we can expose them to what else is out there and give them a path to finding the next book, that's what creates lifelong leaders. And that's certainly what we're fighting for. So we have a slide that has our email. Please email us. You can follow us on all the socials. I'm new and starting on TikTok. So if you check out any of my
Joellen's dragging me kicking and screaming.
Yes. It's so fun though. But all feedback is welcome. And let us know, who do you follow for your reading advisors, so that we can grow and learn together. So thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.